Welcome back to PS's Tech Byte. This week I want to keep on talking about using PnPjs within the context of SharePoint Framework. And specifically, I want to explain you how you can access the collection of content types associated to a list and how you can add a fully typed item to a list using a specific custom content type and custom fields that you define, including people picker fields if needed. So, as usual, let's move to the demo environment and let's see how to play in practice with PnPjs and SharePoint Framework. So, here I have a SharePoint Online Modern Team site in which I define a custom content type called PS's Customer. This content type will define a title, of course, and by default, as well as an address and a referrer for every single customer in the target list. The address field is called PS's address from an internal name point of view, and it is a single line of text field, while the referrer field is called PS's referrer from an internal name point of view, and it is of type person or group, so it will provide a people picker field. I have a list, and as you can see in this list, I can show you I have a title, an address, and a referrer, which, as I said, is a people picker field. And I have a custom web part that I built, and let me open the recording, start the recording. I can add a new item in the target list, and let me stop the recording. Here you can see we already have the newly added item with a specific value for the referrer and for all the other fields. And if I go back to the tracking of the network activity, I can see that I have under the cover a request to make a post to add a new item to the collection of items of my customer list with all of the information about the content type and the custom field that I have in my item. So how can I build it using PnPjs and SharePoint Framework? Here is the source code of my solution, and I have, as usual, a client-side web part, which internally gets a reference to the context of SharePoint Framework to provide that context to a React component, which will represent the real and the actual UI of my web part. In this component, I set up the PnPjs SP object as usual, providing the context that I get from the SharePoint Framework web part. And I simply have a button to add a type item to my list. And the method under the cover of that button will simply, first of all, get a reference to the list that I have in target, searching for the list by title, and will get the collection of content types with an asynchronous request, and that's why I have an await, so that I will get back an array of content type info objects. Then I filter those objects in order to get exactly the one that I am looking for. And I'm pretty sure that I have one in this scenario, so I'm quite confident, and I just access the item 0 in the array. Otherwise, you should check if you have the item you're looking for, and I get the target content type that I want to use to create the new item. Then, in order to get a reference to the user, which I will use in the value of the people picker field, I still use the sp.web object. I ensure the user with that specific login name, so that I will get back an iWebEnsureUser result, which will provide me in the data property the ID of the user from a website perspective. So the ID that this login name will have inside this specific web instance. And then I'm ready to access the collection of lists, to get my target list by title, to get the collection of items, and to add with the Fluent API of PnPjs a new item. The new item will have a content type ID, which will be the string value of the ID of my target content type. It will have a custom title, a referrer, which will be called like the internal name of my field, plus ID to identify the unique ID of the user in target. And if it will be a multi-value field, you will be able to provide an array of IDs. And then I provide the PS's address value. How do we know the name of the field that we need to target? Well, if you go back to SharePoint Online and you make a request for an item in the target list, you can see that we have the field called PS's referrer ID, which corresponds to the PS's referrer, as well as we have the PS's address field, which corresponds to the address field that we have in the target item. So by doing that, and by making this call with the await, because it is an asynchronous call, I will get back an item add result, which will provide me information about the newly added item in my target list. And quite easily, you can add a fully typed object with content type ID and custom fields in it. As usual, thank you for watching this video, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.